Hey, deserving listeners, we have a really special guest with us on the podcast, my childhood friend who I met in the 5th grade. I was playing trumpet and he was playing drums. And we have been very, very close friends ever since. What year would that have been? Like 1981 or something, maybe? And we were talking recently about an experience many years ago about how we met a psychopath, a con artist, a classic psychopath, someone with antisocial personality disorder. This was before I was a therapist. I didn't know anything about this sort of thing. And I thought that I would have my good friend, Chris Huber, on the show to talk about it because the psychopathic con artist was much more involved in Chris's life than in my life. I kind of saw it from afar, but I was definitely near ground zero. So welcome to the podcast, Christopher Huber.
Thank you. Good to be here. This is a treat.
Yeah. So your kids listen to the podcast, your daughter in particular, right?
Yeah.
For many years.
They're both fans, like many year fans, maybe 5, 6, 7 years running now.
Yeah. So shout out to your kids. So yeah, let's start from the beginning, Mr. Huber. You met this. Are we going to say the name of the guy? I mean, the first name?
Sam. Yeah.
Okay. We'll just call him Sam.
Yeah.
And how did you meet Sam, and what year would this have been?
So this would have been probably the year of
96, maybe? 95?
Maybe, yeah, right in the mid of the 90s. Yeah, something
I remember
like
I was
that.
living in my apartment in Wallingford, and I think, just about to get into graduate school to become a therapist, and that was 1995. So,
yeah.
Okay, and how did you meet him?
So remember how we used to do, like, all of our friends, we would do an annual Chelan trip, right? And one of our friends and I, we had a work situation, whereas we could get out for a full week rather than just a weekend.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, Chelan is Central Washington State. It is a lake and a town and a golf course and a casino and all these, and campgrounds and hiking trails. And it's a destination to some extent for a lot of Seattleites because it's nature and getaway and close and not expensive. And we had a annual tradition of going. I mean, sometimes we'd go multiple times a year, but we would have a big trip with like 8 or 9 of our friends.
Yeah, which we started our sophomore year and like literally went 17 times in a row.
Yeah.
17 years in a row.
Right. It was quite a tradition. It was a big deal. That's how close-knit our friend group was. And so you and one of our other friends went out early to kind of just get a jump on the annual Chelan trip.
Yeah. So what we had booked for the main weekend for the big group of 8 of us was a condo in Wapato Point, Chelan, for 3 days. But this other friend and I, we went out 3 or 4 days earlier to actually just tent camp and to golf and to go fishing. So we could essentially get the better part of a week out in Eastern Washington. And so we drove out there, and our first night we were camping. I think it was close to Blue Lake, which was maybe 50 to 75 miles away from Chelan.
Kind of remote.
Yeah, a remote campground area. And we were setting up our tent and befriended a guy. I think it was a Cambodian guy that was camping next to us.
Yeah.
And he was so friendly.
Cambodian American, like no accent.
Yes, correct.
Right. And did you reach out to him, or did he reach out? Like, I'm curious because this is the psychopath. So was it happenstance that you got in his crosshairs, or did he target you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. As I remember it, he was camping solo, and we were in the tent spot next to him. And, that tends to be a pretty friendly situation because there's no walls or fences or that sort of thing. And I recall he was grilling something, like some fish that he had caught. and he wanted to share it. So he came over with some trout that was grilled right off of his small camp grill for us to try, and we gave him a couple of cold beers, and we drank a beer together and ate the fish and just started talking about fishing and camping.
Yeah. And
so he made the first, I think he made the first move.
And our friend group is pretty extroverted, pretty friendly.
Yeah.
So it was a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
Yeah, so we had a couple of beers together that night, and he was talking about this fishing hole that he had found that had some of like the best fishing he's ever seen in the state of Washington. And our friend and I, we weren't that knowledgeable about fishing, where to go, how to even tie a hook or bait your line or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we kind of prided ourselves in being lazy. I don't know if it's just like Gen X, but you had this whole tennis thing that we did in high school where we would, what did we call it? We called it something. There was some way, can we say it on the air? What kind of tennis you invented?
Oh,
what was it called? It was like lazy tennis or something.
It's not coming to my mind.
Yeah, but we would play doubles, and none of us were very good at tennis at all. But we would play doubles in the heat of the summer, and we would try not to move our feet. Remember? And so if the ball went in between the two guys, we just sort of let it go and pull out another ball from our pocket.
That's pretty lazy.
Yeah. But we were playing tennis.
Yeah.
So we kind of prided ourselves in mailing it in. And
how that happened is we were basically, all of our friend group was dating a girlfriend group of the same size, about 8 women at Interlake High School.
Yeah. We would go to,
and they were on the tennis team.
Oh, they were.
That's how we got into doing that.
Okay,
because they wanted to play tennis with somebody, and we had to get into it a little.
But we couldn't.
We were complete slackers.
Right, It was like slacker tennis. Okay, so he shows you the fishing hole.
Yeah, so the next morning, he took us out to the fishing hole, which was, if I remember correctly, it was a lake called Blue Lake. And I don't know if it's anywhere near what it is now, but the fishing, we were probably there fishing for about 2 hours. And in that period of time, I've never seen fish bite so ferociously. They would bite on anything. At one point, we do normal bait, then we pulled out the old bait that had been sitting in the tackle box. It was dried out for like 3 years, and they would bite that and pull in a fish. And at one point, I think I finished my cigarette, and I took the cigarette butt and put it on the hook, and I threw that out, and I caught a fish with it. So the fishing, they would just bite on anything. And by the time the couple hours was done, we had 50 trout. I think these were probably lake trout or brown trout or something like that. I don't know the species that well, but they were, at least minimum, keep size. And we filled up basically 2 coolers full of fish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, if you want to know of a good fishing spot that actually produces a lot of fish that you can take home and eat, talk to an Asian, because they know all the spots.
Yeah, and he definitely knew the spot. We were blown away. You know what? The interesting thing is, I remember the stories that he was telling us vaguely the first night, and them being hardly credible, because I'd never had a fishing experience where fish were just jumping out of the lake onto your hook.
Yeah, it's kind of eerie that happened, because given the way the story goes, it wouldn't be a surprise if this fishing hole wasn't really great. But due to circumstance, he just happened to know about it, and moving forward in the future, it's almost like you're primed to believe other fantastical claims that he would make, right? Because he makes this fantastical claim, and it was
right from the
more
get-go.
than your wildest dreams would have been.
It was one of the most amazing experiences. I still think about that fishing day. I've never had a fishing day like it.
Yeah.
I've fished not a ton, but enough to have several shots at a day like that, and never anything close, not even remotely close. But the fact that came on the heels some tall tale of some guy we met at a campground, which already sounds fishy,
so to speak.
but it actually came true.
Yeah.
And the guy was super legit.
And also the
that
bonding
point.
experience, the three of you.
That's a good point.
You're stuck on a boat
Yeah.
together. You're having some beers.
Actually, no, we weren't on a boat. We were just standing on the bank.
Oh, wow.
Which is even more rare that you
Yeah.
have a great fishing day standing on the bank of a lake like that, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So the three of you are now fast friends already.
Yeah. So all of a sudden we're best friends because he showed us this favorite fishing hole. It lived up to the hype, and actually we had something to show for it because the next day we were going to go meet up with you guys in at the vacation rental condo that we had, and we had basically a biblical catch of fish to share. And we were so excited about that.
Yeah. Interesting. So then what?
So,
Because I don't remember him at any Chelan trip. I don't was he integrated with us at that Chelan trip?
he was, yeah. So,
I'm gonna while you're talking, I'm gonna look up pictures to see if I can find any.
oh, that'd be really cool. Yeah. So in, what I remember about after the fishing thing, I think we had another night camping or something like that, and we had the fish on ice, and it was the same thing that next day, talking about more fishing experiences and not getting too deep into anything, but really enjoying one another's company. Of course, we were out in the sun all day, so we didn't stay up too late. Drank some more beers and went to bed, and that evening. Our friend and I, we made the decision to invite Sam to come hang out with our bigger friend group in Chelan for the weekend. And that felt a little bit weird because we're very picky about who we invite in, and anyone who wasn't part of the original group who we all went to either elementary or middle school with was termed a Pizza Hut buddy.
Right. So in high school, one of our friends worked at Pizza Hut in Eastgate. I don't think it's there anymore. And he became friends with one of his coworkers. And not only were we a very close-knit, kind of closed group of friends, but we literally had initiations into this informal fraternity or gang or whatever you want to call it. And I've talked about this before. We called ourselves Ninja Assassination Unit because
The NAU.
Our Vietnamese friend Juan Do, he was into comics and that kind of stuff, and he named it. And then one of our friends wanted to introduce this guy, and he was like, "No, he's really, really cool." And we're just like, because we were so dorky that it was worrisome to have an infiltrator who would probably not understand, might judge us, might look down on us, or
would drag us or slow us down in the proclivities that we had at that time, whether it be chasing girls around and maybe they're not as good at it as we are.
Right.
Back then it was about cruising, right?
Yeah.
Like you drive your car in the right place. You don't do anything too idiotic, and you play the right music, and you're not too creepy, but you're still aggressive enough. But like we had a formula down because we were really good at cruising Factoria, and those skills translated to whenever we would go on a trip like to vacation.
And is this Pizza Hut buddy gonna be a ball and chain on our process?
Right, yeah.
But so our friend really wanted to integrate this guy, and we very reluctantly agreed, and he hung out with us, I think, just one time, and it did not go well. And this guy did not fit in with, I mean, he was probably a good guy, but from my memory, he felt a lot older than us and just not really like us. We didn't really share much in common with us, because at times we would have Pizza Hut buddies, as we would call them, who actually would integrate, like Ivan, right? Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't like we were completely, but...
Yeah, there were a couple of Pizza Hut buddies that were success stories.
Right. But after the first Pizza Hut buddy, we dubbed that sort of person a Pizza Hut buddy. And so fast forward, like 7 years, 8 years later, and you're having met this guy, and none of us were there when you have this euphoric experience with fishing.
None of the rest of the group of 8 guys.
And the Chelan trip
connection.
And the Chelan trip, by definition, cannot have Pizza Hut buddies. I mean, we didn't even allow like girlfirls or wives.
That's
or anything.
right. Yeah,
it was a very closed thing, and for good reason, because you don't want every year to be this icebreaker process, and God knows how they would do and everything. So you're like, and how was Sam feeling? Was he wanting to tag along? Did he seem enthusiastic? What was his vibe?
Yeah, good question. I think that maybe he was. I remember him being similar to our age, give or take a year, maybe 2. But I remember him being really shy and not feeling like he didn't feel like he was in our group, because he immediately would have recognized how far we go back and how much we had a whole language that we spoke. Yeah, that was quite. Probably 1,000-word, dictionary. Yeah. Well, you and I recently, you decided to keep a Google Doc or a list, and so you and I have been working on reviving, and because we're like, okay, there was that one word. What? And so we've kept this running glossary of words and their definitions, but that's just indicative of just how close knit and honestly how hostile we were to outsiders. You know? We really were, as a group, not inviting. And if we all even went to a party at someone else's house and someone wanted to hang out with us, even in their territory, I don't know how welcoming we were. We probably were like a little closed group that roamed around, bothering everyone around us. But but he wasn't shy with you. He was just shy because of how close-knit we were, and probably the vibe, intimidating. Probably the vibe that all of us were giving him was not. It was a surprise. Like there was no consent that we got to bring him along. I think that. So it's just another. So I just want to highlight how interesting this is, because if he wasn't a psychopath, it wouldn't have been strange for these things to be happening already, right? Like the fishing hole. And it's not like he conned you right off the bat. Mm-hmm. He wanted to. He had made a lot of fish, and when you're at those kind of remote camping sites, it's kind of weird not to acknowledge the person next to you, right? And if he's by himself, and then the next day you're like, well, we're going to this thing. Like, you should hang out with us and come. And you and our other friend are talking. It's just like, oh, well, how are the other guy's going to feel about this? And again, if he wasn't a psychopath, this would be happening. But it's another setup for the future story, in that how are we going to convince people to trust this guy that we just met and we know we can trust him? And it automatically puts you and this other guy in this position of already pre-defending this guy against, which oddly enough we were already, right? Yeah, even before there was conversation immediately from the minute we arrived. To it's like everyone else is like, who is this guy? Yeah, and why did you bring him? And then that conversation would happen with one person, let's say you, and then another one of our friends would pull me aside and say, hey, who's this guy? Like, really, why? I mean, is he going to pay his fair share? Yeah. And that's a good question. He had no money. So we decided we would just cover his expense for it, which was, by the way, $80 per person for 3 days. Right. Yeah. But we were all broke. We were all broke. So that was you were less broke than I was and the rest of us, but we were all still relatively broke. But it sounds like he was particularly broke. Yeah, he was particularly broke. Yeah, and again, so that's actually come think of the first time that the money part of it probably came out. So, do you remember if Sam was pressuring at all, or like in terms of the percentage of the motivation or the decision to
try to get, because that's a huge leap. It wouldn't have been strange for you to say, we're going to meet up with some friends and we're really anal about being close-knit, but let's get your phone number and let's definitely hang out, right? Because he lived in the Seattle area, right?
Yeah.
So next week we'll definitely hang out, and then you can hang out with friends. But this Chelan trip, it's kind of a thing. So how much of it? Because I could see you and our other friend 100% wanting, because the other friend was the original Pizza Hut guy, because he tends to be more of a Pizza Hut guy. He tends to befriend people in that way, for better, for worse. Sometimes it's cool, sometimes it's not, or sometimes it's neutral. But anyway, so I could see it being 100% you and this other guy, or I could see it being more 50-50. Was the psychopathy con artistry already happening? What do you think before meeting up with us?
So this friend and I, we were both the ones who would be most likely to invite somebody in the first place. Remember, I would integrate people from my church youth group into our hangouts all the time.
Yeah.
And so I think for us, it felt more natural maybe than other people in our group to invite somebody. It was a little bit weird. I remember it still feeling a little bit awkward.
But was Sam...
He wasn't pushing.
He wasn't pushing at all.
Not at all.
He's just like, well, whatever. That's, again, so
it was
right off the bat.
Doing all of the inviting.
It's like he met the two perfect guys that would almost do his job for him in a way.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So he hung out with us the whole Chelan trip?
Yeah. And that was like maybe 2 nights, 3 days that we were there. We went golfing. We went to the casino. We went to the bars. Did he do every little thing with us on that? Maybe not. But I remember that he was on the fringe of our activities because he wasn't super social himself, maybe to the degree we were. But there would have been an instant kind of repel from our friend group of, we just want to hang out with each other. And that's the vibe that he would have gotten. And so my friend and I would have checked in on him while you guys would have been like, at the bar or like dancing or like, meeting people or bowling. We would go bowling or golfing, whatever we were doing. I think that he did some of the stuff with us, but not all of the stuff. And because we had a third now, there may have been times where, this other friend and I, we were away kind of hosting him, so he wasn't alone. We couldn't leave him at the vacation rental home alone with all of our stuff because we didn't know him. I remember having that thought, like that wouldn't be okay.
Not that we had anything you could steal, but
well, whatever we had then
like
was still valuable to us.
Half a pack of cigarettes or something. And by the way, I'm looking at the pictures from back then, and I don't think I have a single picture of him. I have pictures from Chelan from the mid 90s, but I don't see. So he could have been around, but he just didn't get captured in the pictures. So, but anyway, all right. So then after the Chelan trip, then what?
So let's see here. The trip ends. We all go back home and go back to our, lives, jobs and whatnot, but we would still get together this group of people almost weekly.
Yeah,
right.
our friend group. Yeah,
if not more.
Yeah,
and actually,
some of us lived together.
Some of us lived together. At that point, I had moved out from you guys, and I'd lived out of the, I moved from Ballard over to Kirkland probably a year before this. Okay. So I was living in a condo in Kirkland with my wife Lita, and so we were
different Lita than the founder of this podcast.
This is Lita Huber.
Yeah,
and should I say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chris Huber, Lita Huber.
All right. So anyways, so I was living in Kirkland with my wife, Lita Huber, and we were, it was just, a 1-bedroom condo with a loft, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
And I had this little, small software business that I would run up in the loft, doing like, programming and stuff.
I remember you had, maybe you still have it, this giant African pillar of some.
Still have them.
Yeah.
They're sitting in a storage locker in Jacksonville.
Yeah. And by the way, to me and my friend group, This would have been, mid-20s, 20, maybe 24 years old. When Huber bought a condo, I thought he's the richest person that we knew for a while, maybe for the next 5 years or something, for Huber to have his own software business and his own condos is quite fancy.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, and then from there, you had a giant house out in Kirkland or Bellevue or somewhere. But anyway, so we were still getting together all the time. Some of us lived together. We were constantly hanging out and doing stuff. And you started to hang out with Sam, bring him around, right?
Yeah. So our friend and I would talk about, hey, when can we get Sam out? There's something going on. Maybe the band was playing. Was our band still playing then?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always had the sense that right from the beginning, you and our other friend were kind of feeling sorry for him in a way.
Yeah.
Why was that?
Well, so I think the thing is that he didn't have he wasn't readily employed at the moment. We knew that he had a girlfriend that he loved dearly who was in Cambodia, removing mines that were left over from the Khmer Rouge War. And basically, so he was really lonely. And on top of that, he had a couple of I think it was like south, like Tacoma-ish area where he was living mostly, and he was staying with a friend from church. But, his life didn't seem to be kind of on the upswing like the rest of ours were at the time. And he didn't have a lot of friends to go do stuff with. And we had arguably what I still think is one of the most amazing friend groups anyone could have.
Yeah.
And why not share that with somebody? Now, I also remember, it's kind of a drag to invite this person again when it didn't go awesome out in Chelan.
But post Chelan, it's a lot easier to invite him out.
It's a lot easier because we're going to be at a bar or something.
There would always
downtown Seattle.
There would always be so-called Pizza Hut friends.
Yeah.
At these other things, by that point, I was probably friends with Bob. I mean, so Bob, to those who listen to the podcast, he was a Pizza Hut friend who...
Bob's an awesome Pizza Hut friend.
So
he's one of my favorite one of your Pizza Hut buddies.
So, it wouldn't have been strange to bring him around.
Yeah. So, so he came to a couple of those events.
With you, well, let's take a break, because when I get back, I want to ask you a question. So, with you and our other friend, was Sam charming to you in your little threesome?
A little bit.
Because that's one of the hallmarks of a psychopath. Not always the case, but they're often...
He was kind, but he had charm. So he had one of his charms is he was an amazing cook. And I didn't mention this part when we were in Chelan. Those 50 fish that we caught, he teriyaki them in this most amazing ginger teriyaki soy. I've never had, still since then, fish that's tasted this good.
Well, plus the 8 of us or whatever, none of us knew how to cook at all.
And he knew how to not only cook, but he knew how to cook.
Yeah. I think you knew how to grill stuff sometimes,
maybe,
but not like cook.
I didn't even know how to put salt and pepper on it, though. I mean, I could not burn it or something.
Right.
But he did this amazing super chef thing, and we had it for dinner, and then there was half of it left over for the next day for breakfast, lunch, another dinner, which we just kept in the fridge, and we were eating these trout cold. And it was the food for the whole weekend.
Yeah, that would have been a big deal.
It was a big deal.
We couldn't afford to go to the restaurants. We couldn't afford even to get...
It was all we could do to afford the beer that we would drink.
Right.
Which we would buy in bulk cases of low quality.
Very low quality.
Right.
Like the cheapest quality.
Yeah.
Like sometimes Old English 800 quality.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or Black Label or Keystone Light.
Yeah. Or Natty Light or Rainier or Oli.
Yeah.
Or Coors.
Rainier might have been a little expensive back then.
Yeah. So you're bringing him around, and he's charming in a way of giving and being helpful.
Yeah, he was very kind.
Okay.
And also, whenever he had like an opportunity to cook, he would do that. And I remember also at one of these times when we got to we got together at maybe the first time, even the first or second. He only went out with us maybe twice before
really?
things started kind of progressing in the story.
Okay. So that's interesting. How many times did you hang out with him? Was that all that you hung out with him? Was
with
everyone?
us as a group.
Oh,
that
how
I
many
remember.
times did like you hang out with him outside of that?
A lot,
Oh, okay.
because so the timeline of events, as I recall, is that we find out, he tells Odie when we were out, if I remember correctly, our band might have been playing one night at Dutch Ned's.
Okay.
And so he's talking to Odie while you and I are like, we're gigging that night. We're busy, and you and I were gigging, and our friend was spending time with Sam, with our other friends. So he found out this tidbit of information, which he shared with me later, and that was that Sam had cancer. And so he had learned that night while we were all together hanging out that Sam had cancer. And it's like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do with that? We had no one had ever known anyone
Right.
our age that had cancer.
Right. And
do you do with that?
it's so interesting because I never knew the subtleties of the buildup, because, again, the way that he appealed to you and our other friend is someone who is a good person, a giving person, but someone that's kind of already in need, alone, doesn't have money, doesn't have friends, but is a good person. And you're already maternal or big brotherish over him. Mm-hmm. And then you learn he has cancer, and it's kind of quiet cancer, right? He tells other friend weeks into knowing him, right? It's not the first thing that he led with. And then our other friend tells you.
Yeah.
So it's not like Sam's announcing this to everyone. It
was quiet.
Very quiet.
It's a fast-moving cancer. It's terminal.
Terminal. I don't think I remember that.
And it's not something he really wants to talk about because of how scary this news was.
Yeah.
On top of it, for some reason, which I don't recall, his friend from church who he was living with at the time, he wasn't able to stay with that friend. He had to move. And
Did he say why?
No.
Yeah.
And our friend offered him a place to stay because our friend was living with some of his Pizza Hut buddies in Briar, in a house in Briar. And so he offered to have Sam move in. And Sam brought his stuff, which included boxes of belongings, camping gear, and
kind of a nomad life already.
Moved into either what would be a spare bedroom or something.
A couch.
Or downstairs couch. Yeah.
Didn't he have a car too?
Yeah, he had like a Honda like we did.
Okay. Just like a Honda.
We all drove Hondas.
Yeah. You had the very first Honda Civic. You got it used.
I had my Honda before you had your Honda?
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, yeah. Absolutely. I didn't have my own car until you took me shopping to buy my very used Acura.
I remember that.
That had 100,000 miles on it, and because you
drove it for another 100 and something.
I drove it for 200,000 miles. It had over 300,000 miles. It had a hole in the passenger side floor. I could see the concrete. But you are the best salesperson and the best worker of salespeople. The story goes that you and your dad made this old grandma cry because you talked her down on this old Honda Civic from like $400 to $350 or something. Isn't that how it went?
Yeah, it was. I think it was like she wanted like $1,100, and ultimately we got it for $950. And my dad had bargained her so hard that she started crying. And I don't know I remember like being pretty impressed with the deal he got, but I wasn't sure if I liked the way he got there.
Yeah. So he had a car that he brought with him as well, because that kind of plays a role later, right?
Yeah. So he had just a regular, kind of Honda Civic, like we had, commuter car, but he also owned a 1978 Corvette pace car, Indy pace car.
Oh, that's what I remember.
Yeah. So he had two cars actually.
Right.
And when he moved in with our friend, he actually lived with our friend for 2 months.
Yeah.
And during that 2 months, the story progressed, and we knew at that point that we were going to be essentially spending the rest of his life with him.
Yeah.
Which would be another few months.
Yeah, I remember the bits and pieces that I saw was I have this vision in my head of the three of you coming over to a party at my house or my apartment in Wallingford, and he had his head shaved.
Yes.
And he didn't have any hair, and one of you pulled me aside and said, yeah, he has terminal cancer. He's going to die. And I just remember thinking, I have no idea what to do with that. That's like incredible.
Yeah.
And I remember noticing that he had stubble on his head, like shaving. And this is pre-internet or at least pre-workable internet and pre my knowledge of such things. But I remember, because I hadn't known anyone who had had cancer or had gone through treatment that would cause you to lose hair.
Pre-internet, pre-cell phone for almost everybody, unless you had one of those big brick ones.
Yeah. Well, you got me on that watch pager.
The Seiko pager watch?
Yeah.
You had a Seiko pager watch, didn't you?
Well, because you had it. And
you
you
have a Seiko pager watch.
You were my window into like tech and stuff.
The real technology.
Yeah. And because I needed the pager because at the time I was doing all this contract work as a therapist.
Yeah.
This is in the later 90s. And I was driving all over the state. And since there's no cell phones, people would have to contact me if a client, for example, was going to be late or something. Anyway, so I would pull over and call on a payphone. Anyway, so I remember noticing that he had stubble, and I thought, so when you go through chemotherapy, you get stubble? Like I remember having that question, but not suspecting anything, because why would anyone lie about having terminal cancer? That's bizarre, right?
Bizarre.
Right. So, I mean, do you remember, what do you remember about the terminal cancer signs and any question marks you had in your mind?
Well, kind of like you mentioned, I was so shocked by it. I'd never experienced that. And the last thing that I think you were supposed to do is ask questions, because that would be a sign of disrespect to somebody who's on his way out. So I remember seeing that. I remember being like, yeah, he shaved his head because like he doesn't want to watch it fall out clump by clump.
Right. And I think I learned that later, but I didn't know that at the time.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So you remember having that thought of, well, he probably shaved it off preemptively.
Right. And who would do that? Who would do that if they didn't have to do that?
Right.
Right. Like it made nothing seem that weird. During that 2 month period of time, he was destitute, broke. He didn't have an income. He was doing like radiology treatment and whatever cancer treatments. Even though it was already terminal, they were still doing what they could. It was what we knew about. And so he would leave sometimes for a day or 2 days or whatever and come back. We just assumed he was spending the night in the hospital or two or something like that. You don't ask too many questions, whatever. His family is like, I think his family is gone or not living. The only close person to him is his girlfriend who's in Cambodia, and she's working for, what do you call it, International Red Cross, removing landmines. And it was he had a sad situation.
The landmine thing was kind of a popular topic. I think Princess Di had made it popular, if I remember
interesting.
right.
Yeah, it was a topic back then.
Right. It's just kind of funny. Psychopathic con artists today would have some other line, like my girlfriend is in Ukraine picking up mines there or something. You know, it was kind of a talk. It was also there was a lot of awareness of the post-Vietnam War at the time.
There was, yeah.
So that had to do with that.
Yep,
or I guess Khmer Rouge doesn't have to do with the Vietnam War.
That was connected.
But it's, it's like related. Anyway,
yeah.
So how were you feeling, you and our other, because you guys were pretty close to him, knowing that he was going to die soon?
It was, I mean, it was heavy. It was heavy on our, our like this one friend and I, and we got together at one point and decided like we have to do something. I mean, he doesn't have any family around him. The person he loves most is maybe not going to see him while he's still living. And this distant church friend who took him in before he was living with our friend. And so we decided that we would do something, memorable for him and take him to Vegas. What's better than, someone's, on the way out to have one last hurrah in Vegas.
Yeah.
So we did that and we loaded up our credit cards, and all of the credit that someone had back then might've been $2,000, right? Our friend loaded up his credit card, $2,500, completely maxed out. I loaded up mine, not to that degree, but a little bit. And
like from 0 to 2,500?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Right.
I mean, again, inflation, back then.
We're paying for, airplane flights, hotel, all of the fun stuff that you would do, including gambling in Vegas or bars or whatever. Yeah. And,
like in today's dollars, that would feel like 10 or 20 grand to us. You know what I mean? That was because I had a credit card that had a $2,000 limit, and it took me years to pay that off. You know what I mean?
That was a lot of money, a crazy amount of money. And there was, so it was the three of us in Vegas, but there might've been a fourth. Were you there or?
No, it wouldn't have been me. I mean, I went to Vegas with all the guys. Well, we did go to Vegas around that time. It could have been that. Were there others?
There would have been four.
Because I remember I went
4 or 5 max.
Yeah,
it wouldn't have been our whole group.
Yeah, it could have been. I could have been there. It could have been that one.
So the idea
I don't
is
remember him.
We're going to help him live the last couple weeks of his life and do it right. Whatever. He's on borrowed time already.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did that and essentially kind of spent ourselves into the ground trying to make something memorable. And by the way, it's not a money throwaway to go to Vegas. At that age, we had a blast. And,
no, I wasn't on that Vegas. The Vegas trip I did go on in that time was a bachelor party for one of the frat guys. And okay. I don't even know if you were there for that one because you weren't in my frat. But no, I wasn't on that. Okay. I think it was just the three of you.
It might have been just the three of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, after that trip, our friends' roommates, after that couple of months there, they were getting kind of like, this guy isn't paying, whatever. He cooks good dinners for us, but we don't want him around anymore. And so,
even though they knew he had terminal cancer.
Yes, even though they knew that, and so Lita and I decided to take him in to our condo next.
Oh, really?
So he moved in.
That's a small condo.
Yeah, into our 1-bedroom condo.
Yeah,
to sleep on the couch for 2 weeks once we got back from Vegas.
Oh, wow!
And this was something that was kind of a difficult situation because I remember Lita saying, "Hey, this isn't that cool for me. Like, if you go to work or go off and visit a client, does that mean he and I are going to be here together alone?" Like, I don't remember saying that's cool with me.
Was this a church thing too? Were you trying to do the godly thing?
Not particularly. I was just trying to do the humanly thing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But I was just wondering if you were talking with church elders about this.
Not at all. No, okay. Zero. Yeah. It didn't even occur to me, oddly enough, I probably should have, but it didn't occur to me to think of it in those terms.
Yeah.
But this is just somebody who I cared enough for to not want to do the wrong thing from a human standpoint.
And I have to say, as the human standpoint up to this point, and really, I guess, regardless of what happens after this point, you and our other friend are, super nice, going way above and beyond. I don't know if I would have done that when I was that age, or any age really. So that's a huge deal. And you had just met him, but there wasn't any sign of any shenanigans, right? Like looking back, he wasn't asking for money or anything, right?
Well, this is when that came.
So, but up until this point, it was all you give. And again, he struck gold, right? Because he came across the two guys that would do this for him automatically, and that setup with the fish, and then trying to defend him against our tight-knit group, and I don't know, just like it all conspired. Okay, so he moves into your place, and from the sound of it, you're not 100% on board with this, right?
I'm 100%.
Oh, you are 100%.
Leach is like, I don't know. And then she finds out that I gave him a key to our place, and she flips. And we had probably what was one of the hardest core knockdown, drag out arguments that we've ever had. And
because you're defending him.
It lasted for 3 days. Still to this day, one of the most like unrecoverable situations, because I thought I was doing like, who wouldn't do this? How can you okay, I gave him a key, but like his stuff is here. Like,
but you're really protective of him.
I was being protective of him.
Right.
Totally. Like why wasn't I being protective of her?
Well,
right.
She didn't need as much. It's interesting because it's hard to know how much, if you and our other friend hadn't laid out the red carpet, would he have amped it up a little bit more? Because he had, he's already doing things to manipulate. But at this point, it's almost like you and the other friend are kind of like in a little cult. And everyone else around you, including your wife, are not in the cult. Mm-hmm. And everyone else is like, wait, what? Who is this guy? What's happening? Okay, he has terminal cancer. That sucks, but what? You gave him a key? You know what I mean? Whereas you, because Lita hadn't been on that journey. Mm-hmm. She didn't have that euphoric fishing trip. She didn't have that experience of trying to prepare, like, we've got to defend him. She didn't have that those interactions with him when he's like giving and cooking, and she's not there when he's laying out the little details. My girlfriend, with the mines, and I don't have anywhere to live, and things aren't going well, and I can't. She's not there for that slow descent into his world,
she
right?
Wasn't there for it.
Where you are completely wrapped around his finger without him really trying. He's not like. It's not an aggressive manipulation. It's like a gravitational pull on two guys that are compassionate, nice people.
It was such a gentle descent into like getting hooked into this that only now in talking to you about this does it kind of make sense. Like, I've never even sat down and tried to piece together with this level of clarity, the story. But I see things in this conversation that I've never even thought of.
Like what?
Like what you're saying about she wasn't there for that. And, the rest of the friend group wasn't there for that euphoric fishing experience.
Yeah.
Which, what are the chances that we would have that? And the guy was basically talking a tall fishtail at the campground.
Right.
And then it came true the next day.
It's like what he says is true.
Yeah, what he says is true.
He says weird, fantastical things, and it turns out that they're true even more so than...
Which, by the way, I still can't figure that one out. Like, how did that come true?
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like he planted a bunch of fish or something, which, of course, is ridiculous, but it's like the world was trying to push you in his direction or something. But, yeah. Yeah, so with Lita... she's just like, I like him because she's a nice person too, but she hadn't been indoctrinated into the cult of Sam.
Yeah, and she had a little bit of his cooking, so she got a little bit of that magic because he would cook for us, and it was amazing. Every time he would cook, it was like, wow, I've never had food this good. It was that amazing. So she experienced that side of it. And he wasn't at our place for that 2 weeks. He wasn't there every night. He would be there every second or third night, or maybe 2 nights in a row. But then he would leave for a couple days because he was getting chemotherapy or whatever type of treatment.
Yeah. Looking back, do you know where he was going for these?
Yeah. Well, he told us the name of a hospital, which we had written down just to know. Cause like, what happens if he doesn't come back one day?
Yeah.
Meaning like he passed away.
Yeah.
Right. Never doesn't come back one day for other reasons, but we never thought of that. But I will say this, Lita was suspicious from the minute that he moved in with us. She had a vibe, and I didn't have that vibe. I was being more protective of Sam.
What was she picking up on?
Well, she was picking up on like, well, it's weird that you want to, just invite him out of nowhere, this stranger, to live with us.
Right. Because we came across a lot of people in our time back then, and also occasionally some people that might have needed a place to stay, but you had never offered that to anyone else.
No.
And it would have been strange to do so back then.
And there's no connection other than we met one night camping and went fishing.
Rather recently.
Yeah, like a few months earlier.
You don't know his family. He doesn't have a job.
Yeah.
You don't even know any of his friends.
You don't know anyone that knows him.
Yeah.
Right.
And so all these are signs, by the way. Of course, we wouldn't have known it at the time, but of someone that might have blown out in various communities and had to cut ties because they figured out who he was,
Yeah.
So she's picking up on just kind of the details, or did she pick up on things that he said or did, or little inconsistencies in his statements or something?
Probably yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you don't remember?
I don't remember the specifics of what all those words. Some of them will come out in this next part that I talk about, I think. Because
so getting back, do you know where he was going to overnight when he was staying with the other friend in Briar and with you in Kirkland? Like,
he had a friend in the Tacoma area from church.
Like, that to be true?
A friend named John.
But that's what he said.
Yeah, we had not cross-referenced it.
So we have no idea. He could have been conning some other group of people at the same time, or we don't know where.
At the time.
Because he would have wanted to stay with you.
Know.
Yeah. So something must have torn him away, some benefit to something, right?
Yeah, so he was leaving to maybe go get some stuff from John's house. That was his friend John from church, or go to a hospital visit. And it didn't matter. Hey, we're all adults.
But that's what he was saying.
Right, yeah.
Like, looking back, it's unlikely he ever went to the hospital, right?
Unlikely, correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. We get back. Let's hear about the descent. Okay, so when did it take a turn?
So there's basically two turns. The first turn is he said on maybe the second day that he moved in with me, that he wanted to know if I would be open to giving him a loan. And the reason was that he didn't think he was ever going to see his girlfriend again, and he wanted to buy her an engagement ring. And
what a weird... Wait. I would have thought cancer treatment, it'll maybe some alternative medicine that would maybe give him another couple of years or something. You know what I mean? Because he's coming up on the terminal date. So he can't die, obviously. He's got to continue. But so he says he might not ever see his girlfriend again.
I mean, the treatment might have been successful too, right? Who knows, right?
Yeah, but you think he would work that easier angle?
Yeah.
Because this story, I don't think I would bite on that, because I'm thinking, why would you buy an engagement ring for a woman you're never going to see again? Two, why an engagement ring? Why not buy her a ticket to the States, or buy her a car? Why are you buying a stupid diamond that doesn't give her anything?
Well, in my mind, I'm thinking something like, well, of course you're going to do better against cancer if you have something to look forward to.
Oh,
right.
Wow.
Maybe we'll get married. But she said yes. Mail her the engagement ring. Which
he's saying
he's going
give me a loan because I'm trying to entice her.
Yeah.
Okay. Still
something to that effect, right? Yeah. He wanted to propose to her immediately. There was no way she could get back from this third world country in any time, like in the next couple of months, there was some sort of a contract that she was working under that was going to delay her by months. Anyways, he's hoping he's going to make it that long, but he was wanted to put some things in place to.
How much money did he want?
He wanted $4,000.
Okay,
which was a lot of money at the time.
And he was going to spend all $4,000 on an engagement ring.
Yeah, all of it.
Yeah, and that's quite a lot. I mean, I would say for your average 40-year-old guy who's getting married a second time, they might spend about $4,000 on an engagement ring back then, and those dollars and those kinds of, because it was before like the giant engagement rings that you would eventually see. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to put it in context.
Oh, yeah,
just
absolutely.
like the ask to you would
that was a
really very
nice,
expensive
it was, yeah.
engagement, because you could probably for $500 or even $1,000 get a very respectable stone with a gold band or something, So he's really swinging for the fences. So in this moment, what was going through your head?
Well, my first thought was, well, I would do anything, to help you, type thing, if it's within reason. And I didn't have anything that said, no, you shouldn't do this, because it's not right that he's asking or any of that. No, it was like, oh no, I'm in.
It's interesting. Yeah. It's interesting how powerful the terminal illness and the good guy down on his luck, sort of the immigrant story as well, right? And just true. How convinced, because although you were the rich guy in our friend group, for us back then at the age of 24, which wasn't saying much, but still.
It's not saying a lot.
No. But you weren't like handing out $100 bills here and there. You know what I mean? So $4,000, that's a huge deal. Like I don't think you would have loaned me $4,000.
I wouldn't loan anybody money back then. One of the reasons I was keeping money is because that's kind of how I was raised, is don't give your money away.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it was so weird.
Or invest it or something. Yeah.
Invest it. Like don't spend it. Don't give it away. Don't do frivolous things with it.
Yeah.
And I look at it, it's like, it is weird.
Yeah. So it's telling just how brainwashed you had become, how seduced you had become, and how smart you are as a person, and how good you are with money. And yet he had, in a short amount of time, manipulated you and our other friend into this mindset of like, there's no questions asked. I will do anything. Money is no object, because it's Sam and he's going to die. And of course, I'm going to give him everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was everything. I had just started my business. If that money had not been returned, it would have sunk my little programming company, because it was all I had put away.
Oh, really?
A year.
So it could have killed your business.
Two. Yeah.
Wow.
So I asked him. I go, this is everything. This is everything I have.
Wow.
This is everything I've built so far in this time I've been doing this. It would be disastrous to lose that money.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what it was, but he had a way that he was going to get me the money back, because he had some money coming. There was something like that.
Okay.
That's an important detail.
Right.
He had this money coming. It was coming in, a month or something like that. And it seemed like a realistic thing. And I just remember saying, that's great. I totally believe you.
And this is the first time he's ever asked for money, right? He hasn't previously asked.
Yeah, we were offering the Vegas trip, and we were offering our homes to stay at. Those were just gifts. Yeah.
Right. He wasn't known to.
No,
be
he was
like,
never.
Can you support me like a couple $100?
Well, there might have been that.
Oh,
but just once, or nothing exceedingly. Like,
okay.
Yeah, nothing that raises the eyebrow even.
All right.
But I remember asking him, like, so I am going to, just because it would be too disastrous to take a loss on this if something went wrong, would it be okay if you parked your Corvette in my garage so I could just have it as collateral in case something happened?
Yeah.
And and like sign over the title just in case, because like, what happens if like something happens to you medically?
Yeah.
I need to be able to make good on this collateral.
Right.
And he's like, oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, he said yes before I even got the words out.
Yeah.
And
then he did sign over the title, right?
he signed over the title.
Yeah. Which I have to say is so smart, because if I were to be involved in this back then, I wouldn't have even known that was a thing. I hadn't known about titles and signings and all that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't have even known what to do or why to do it. So we were talking about this the other night when I had a party, and one of our other friends brought this up. He remembered from 30 years ago. He's like, yeah, you were really smart to have him sign the title for that car. I mean, that was a brilliant move in that moment. And again, you're not thinking he's a con artist.
No.
You're just thinking he's totally 100% trustable,
100%.
but he's also trustable that he has cancer. He could die, and I might not ever get my money back. And so this car would be collateral for that.
And again, how trustable that he handed over a title and
Right.
signed it, right?
And so this is the part of it. This is just a preview, but psychopaths are not geniuses the way that they're portrayed in movies and TV shows. They are of average intelligence on average, and they also have a disorder that causes them to shoot themselves in the foot. So that can lead to them being impulsive. It can lead to them being narcissistic and believing their own bullshit. Like, well, I'll come up with $4,000 and I'll get my car back, or what, like they're not intelligent. One of the hallmarks of a psychopath is that they don't think about the future. And so in this moment, because he must have known that he was scamming, right? And he must have known that there was a chance that he would never pay you back. So therefore, he would never get his car back. Or he might think, well, I'll scam the car out of him. I just want to put us in his mindset at the time. But you come across someone that's like thinking straight like yourself and has the knowledge and the know-how about how to protect your money, at least a little bit, like it protected you. So, okay. So at this point, you write him a check or something?
Yep. I actually went to the bank and I got $4,000 cash. Just drew it out at the teller and gave him the money.
How'd it feel to hand over that much money?
Oddly enough, it felt kind of good.
Yeah.
Weird, but
you're doing a good thing.
I'm doing a good thing. Yeah.
He's going to spend it on a diamond ring.
Yeah, he's going to do something that might be the noblest thing someone could do in their final days.
Yeah.
And also at the same time, if by some miracle he makes it through the cancer, then a beautiful thing is happening.
Did you tell Lita that you were loaning him the money?
Yeah, she thought it was stupid.
Yeah.
And it was kind of my decision to make and the risk that I wanted to take. And I think at the time she probably was saying, I don't know if I would do that, but we had already basically kind of stopped wanting to have deep conversations because previously the whole key to the condo thing happened, where it's like we knew that we couldn't see eye to eye on dealing with this guy.
And were you married yet? Because I don't think you
We weren't married. We were just
right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a key kind of detail in terms of
dating and living together.
Right. In terms of like community property and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So then what?
Yeah. So then the couple of weeks of time goes by and he's there for a night or two, and then he would leave for a night or two, and then come back for a night or two and leave for a night or two. But things were kind of weird because it's just like when he would be there, he'd be a little bit more kind of like emotionally distant, it would seem. And then
that's interesting because that can happen.
Yeah.
That
as time went on,
there's
through
a
the couple
cycle.
weeks.
There's a cycle of this kind of psychopathic con artist in that they will cozy up emotionally to you until they get what they're after, and then there will be an emotional retraction because it takes a lot of energy to act like you care.
I remember him shaving his head in our sink. He did a fresh shave. he was becoming sicker, coughing. Now it seems like acting sicker would be the better way to say it.
And did you ever know what sort of cancer he had?
Well, heart cancer is what he told us.
Heart cancer.
But I've never heard of heart cancer
I'm
since.
sure it exists, right?
Maybe.
Right.
Might need to Google it.
But we didn't have Google back then, so what would we know?
And we didn't know much about cancer.
Yeah, it sort of worked both ways because he also couldn't Google something to find out if heart cancer is a thing or how to say it, and we didn't have a way of confirming. So back then you could just kind of get away with things. We also couldn't Google someone's name to find out if they had like a social media presence or anything like that. Yeah. Okay, so he's a little bit more standoffish. And have you asked him by this point, like, did you get the ring? What did she say? Did you do any of that conversation?
We didn't get that far. It was basically, we might have only seen him 2 more times.
Okay.
After maybe 3 more times, where he would show up for a day or 2 and then leave. And as he was getting sicker, I said, hey, because you're getting sicker and I can see that, like, can I have like I want to be able to like talk to your doctor if I need to. And you can give him my number too. Cause like you're staying with me and I just would like to be plugged in cause we care. So we got his doctor's name, the hospital name, his friend John from church, and hit John's number. So we had
because at this point you got to be thinking he could keel over in my condo.
Yeah. That was the only thought that I had. That was why we need some back information.
Yeah.
Because we might lose him. Right. He didn't look like he was doing good. I mean,
you could wake up in the morning, he could be dead on your couch.
Right. Right. And so after 2 weeks, he didn't come back. It was 3 days. Now, like we hadn't seen him for 3 days now after being off and on our place for 2 weeks. And that after that 3rd day is kind of turning into almost a 4th. Lita's like, this is just too weird. I can't stop. I can't let this go. I have to like research something. I'm like, okay, we'll call the doctor. And so she calls the doctor, and the hospital says there's no doctor there by that name. And then she did some kind of search, not an internet search, but some kind of phone book search. Remember that they had yellow pages and white pages back then.
Yeah.
And couldn't find that doctor's name anywhere in Pierce County or Thurston County, whatever else is down there.
Again, not smart, because if he just came up with like Brian Johnson, there's likely a doctor named Brian Johnson. He must have come up with a name that wasn't common.
Yeah.
Or think about it beforehand and come up with a name so that if someone asks, then he can actually name it. Because if you called a doctor's office, they would say, we can't give you any information about a patient without, so just a little forethought. But psychopathic con artists don't do that. So he just pulled a name out of his ass when you asked
Probably.
him. Yeah, and just maybe made up a number.
We had no number for a doctor.
Oh, okay.
We just had a phone number for a friend, the friend that he lived with from church.
So he gave you a name of a doctor and a hospital. You called the hospital. Okay.
Yeah. So now I'm actually, this is the first time I started freaking out, is when the hospital says there's no doctor.
Yeah.
That's the first time something didn't add up.
Lita, before you came here today, really wanted this detail to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
She told us the other night at the party too. She's just like, I want credit. So make sure you really double down. Is this what you really wanted? Is this what she really wanted credit for?
This is what she wants credit for.
I mean, that's a big deal, right? This is the turning point. Without her,
that's the turning point.
Who knows what would have happened?
Yeah.
This you could still be scammed by him at this point. So she had some suspicion and called, and then you're now thinking, wait, is there some? So this is that first kind of moment. So in this moment, what percentage of you is thinking maybe it's not all he is saying things to be true?
50, but only 50%, because
that's a pretty big leap, though, because the amount of cognitive dissonance that you're going through is significant. This is why catfishers and other victims of con artists will have a hard time going through this. In fact, I have fairly distant relative who is currently being catfished. In all likelihood, it's unknown, but it has all the signs. Like she's never met him. She's an older woman. He refuses to do FaceTime. He's asked for money. All that kind of stuff. Just classic catfishing. And when her sons confronted her on this, and said, I think you're being catfished, she did not react well. And that's almost always the case. It's too much for the mind to handle, right?
Yeah,
because
right.
You have to even have the possibility that, and these aren't true statements, but you would understand how someone would think this, that they're stupid, that especially in a catfishing situation, that they don't deserve love, they'll never find love again. This person made me feel sexy and wanted and good enough, and now I have to think about the possibility that not only is this a scam, but I'm not good enough, I'm not sexy, I'll never find anyone else, and I've been defending this guy. So for you to
I was thinking I'll never find a place where I can catch 50 fish in one day again.
Yeah. Or the Pizza Hut ridicule that I'm going to get from my other friends.
That would have been
You're still
that
dealing
horrible.
30 years later, we still think this is
it still is.
The end-all, be-all Pizza Hut, buddy.
It is.
But for you to go from 0 to 50%, that shows some flexibility of mind. Our other friend, it was harder for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, harder. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So because he was more invested.
More invested emotionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then what?
So, and of course, I'm thinking, how can we be scammed if this guy's Corvette is sitting in my garage, right? Like it won't work out well for him.
And also, he had all of his junk at our other friend's house.
Yeah.
Like all the boxes.
All of his camping gear and his personal belongings were in his garage.
Yeah. Just like all the stuff that he would sort of pack around when he would move from house. So then what?
So at that point, we still had more information. We had his church friend, Sam's church friend, John's phone number. And so I decided I was going to call John and see if I could, find what's going on, because we're freaking out. And
yeah, just to pause you on this, another benefit was that he wasn't around, because if he was around, you might have gone to him.
Of course,
and then he would have said, oh, no. And he could have
We're worried that he died.
Yeah.
That's what we're worried
at this point.
Yeah, maybe he died. So we're thinking, we got to call the doctor, right? Is he in the hospital?
Yeah.
Is he so bad that he can't call us and say...
A better psychopath would make sure that they were there to
Good point.
head you off the path, to put up a smoke screen, or even an emotional thing like, why are you looking into this? Like, don't... I can't believe you're doing this to me, and then you'd be like, oh, shit, sorry. Mm-hmm. So the fact that he's not there gives you this freedom and the space and the motivation, because you're worried about him, to start calling around. So you called John, and then who answered?
And John answered the phone. And
so there's a real person named John.
There was a real person named John who answered the phone. And I said, is this John? Yeah, this is John. Who's this? Well, this is Chris. I'm a friend of Sam's. Okay. We're really worried about Sam, because we haven't seen him for 3 or 4 days now. And he left your number as someone who was a friend of his. He said that he used to live with you, and we can't find him, and we're just really worried. And have you seen him? Do you know where he is? He's like, yeah, actually, he's here. Do you want to talk to him? And I'm like, yes, please. And so he put Sam on the phone. And Sam, and I go, Sam, it's Chris. Like, are you okay? And immediately, like, the response was bizarre. He goes from like having a normal voice to coughing and acting sick.
And you can sense there's something weird.
His response is like, hold on. Not going good, man. Really bad. I'm going to have to call you back. So and then there was a click.
He just hangs up on you.
Yeah. That's when I went from 50 to maybe 80%.
Yeah.
Right. Of like, this isn't right.
Yeah.
And so I rang back, right? Waited 10 minutes, called back. What? Yeah. And then John answered again. I'm like, hey, John, this is Chris again. I was just on the phone with Sam, but he was coughing and then he hung up. Is he okay? He goes, well, I think he is, but he actually just left. So I'm like, we have to have a conversation. Can we talk about some stuff? And he's like, yeah, sure. I was told that Sam's been living with me for the last 2 weeks. And then before that, he was living with our friend for 2 months. And we've been under the impression that Sam is very sick and ill with cancer. Do you know anything about this? And he's like, I knew he was, I don't think he has cancer, but I knew he had, he was sick, it's with something a while ago, but I don't think it's cancer. I'm like, okay. But he said he lived with you for like a year, the last year or so. Is that right? He's like, well, yeah, we knew each other from church, and I don't know him that well, actually.
Church must be a really good place to scam people, by the way.
Yeah. Right. Because it's an instant. You're supposed to trust people you meet at church.
Yeah. So
he doesn't know Sam that well. He'd just known him from church, and he was the guy that took Sam in. But I said, I'm really worried because...
Is he a family guy or is he living by himself? Do you know?
Don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't know. I've never met this guy before, since, or after. But this is the last time that I ever talked to John. And the conversation from here goes like, well, John, I don't know what's going on, but I'm really worried because I gave Sam $4,000. And that's about all I have in the world. And it would mean everything, the worst thing to me if somehow I wasn't able to recover that. And I don't know if I'm being scammed or what's going on, if he's not like, sick with cancer. I'm starting to freak out. But I have to tell you this, that because I loaned him $4,000, I had him park his Corvette in my garage. He goes, oh, the Corvette. Yeah, that was at my house for he said he took that over and parked it at a friend's house. I'm like, that's in my garage right now. I go, also, as collateral for the $4,000, I had him sign over the title. He goes, well, actually, I'd loaned Sam $10,000. And I have the Corvette title as collateral. I know I don't have the Corvette because that wasn't part of our agreement, just to have it in my presence all the time. But the title of that Corvette is I have it safely filed away.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, no, you don't, because I have it in my hand right now. And either yours is fake or mine is fake. And he's like, well, I know Sam would have never found where I put mine. And, but you're making me wonder, and I'm going to go look. And so he was very upset at this point. He is realizing that something's going on too at this point, and he's having a hard time with it. The conversation was not friendly. But he puts me on hold, and he's gone for 10 minutes.
So just chiming in, it almost seems like Sammy, or Scammy, as we ended up calling him.
Scamariah, Jebediah.
He might have had a MO of using the Corvette as some sort of collateral. Maybe not formally of the title, but like maybe that was some carrot he could dangle. It's just like, hey, if I can't pay you back, I'll give you my car.
Yeah.
And then some people would bite and say, well, how about you sign the title? And then he said, oh yeah, sure. And has some form that he can fill out. But because the way you tell the story, it's you decided, how about you sign the title? But he's already done this. So
right.
It could be that you brought it up, but it also could be that he subtly routed you in that direction.
Could have been.
You know what I mean?
It could have been.
It's kind of weird.
And I don't remember if that did or didn't happen.
It feels volitional, but it might have been engineered by him subtly.
It might not just be coincidence that guy had the title too.
Right. I mean, there could have been half a dozen other people with a title with that fucking Corvette.
Right.
But you actually have it in your garage. But anyway, so he goes to find the title. He comes back to the phone. Then what?
Yeah, and he's flipped out angry. He's like, I can't believe it. The title's gone.
Wow. So John has like a secret file
cabinet
with a lock or a key or something, and he's just like, there's no way that
No way.
how there's no, but somehow Scammy figured it out,
Yeah.
spied on him or put two and two together, and undoubtedly John left Sammy in the house alone. Sammy like probably rummaged through shit, and God knows what. Was he ever home alone in your condo?
Don't recall.
But it might have been.
Could have been.
Yeah. So then what?
So at that point, we know the gig is up, right? And also Sam has a key to our condo, right? I don't have keys to the Corvette. It's just parked in the garage, right? And so I decided I'm going to have the Corvette in the condo rekeyed. And we're afraid now for a safety reason also, because there's a lot of money on the line now for some.
Well, not only that, but it's very unsettling to have someone near you who is capable of that amount of deception and lying and self-centeredness, because you wonder, well, what else, if they're breaking all of those social rules,
what else?
and they don't give a shit about me or anyone around them, what are they capable of? Even though most of them don't kill and don't have a motivation to kill. That's a false notion about psychopaths. They don't, wake up in the morning, most of them, and say, I'm going to kill someone. But it just raises questions. It's a very unnerving feeling. I would have been very unnerved if I were you and Lita at the time.
Yeah.
Did you reach out to the other friend and involve him in all this as well?
John?
No, our other friend.
Oh yeah. Definitely. We're having that conversation, and
so you're roping him in, and
he's becoming more believing of what's going on, and realizing, he's got a few $2,500 of credit card debt, plus whatever smaller monies that he may have probably loaned him. He was out too.
So then what?
So, but that was, we never heard from Sam again. That was it. So
because the phone conversation, he figured that, so you never heard from John again.
Yeah. And John probably never heard from Sam either.
Yeah.
At that point.
So from that one conversation of you calling, and also he had extracted money. So, maybe he's thinking, well, it's pointless to continue this charade any longer because I got a bunch of money, so whatever. But when you call him, it's just kind of weird. Again, it's just another tick in the column of psychopaths aren't geniuses, because he could have recovered from that. If he stayed on the phone with you and said, oh yeah, I'm down here at John's. What's going on?
And my car isn't working. I need to drive to the hospital. I need to borrow the Corvette tomorrow.
Yeah. And by the way, I didn't tell John about my cancer because I don't want to bother him. I'm not really excited. I only told you and that other guy.
There could have been a path.
Like right? But instead, cough, cough, cough.
He was really caught off guard by that.
Hang up and then disappear.
Yeah.
Just like, completely just go AWOL, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He never called you. Where's my car? Or tried to weasel his way back in. He just disappeared. Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. So then what?
So, I guess, what we had was we had a 1978 Corvette. It was kind of beat up, but it was worth more than $4,000.
How much was it worth? Like
$6,000.
Just like sell from your standpoint.
Yeah.
Like sell it to a lot for $6,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, we sold the car to get the cash back, put the money back in the business.
Now who's the scammer?
Yeah, let's see who's the better scammer here.
I learned from the best. My dad made a grandma cry about a Honda Civic.
Right.
We'll see who comes out ahead on this deal.
It was not pretty. It was there was so much heartache over this for so many years of what everyone had gone through emotionally.
Yeah.
Realizing how much we had been taken, that the money was just one aspect of it, really. There's still loss.
Yeah.
The loss in other ways is greater than the money. And, you look at that. And I was able to make myself whole, but I wasn't able to make our friend whole. He got some of the money, but he was still out money.
Yeah.
Right.
But also just the trust lost.
But that part, that trust loss, yeah, that was huge. And what do I say to Lita for inviting that in? What do I say to like my best friend group?
Yeah.
For life, for inviting that in.
Yeah. Well, you didn't.
There's shame involved with that.
Yeah. But with us, you didn't put us out at all. Like, I don't remember personally feeling inconvenienced by, I pretty much only knew him as a Pizza Hut. I guess maybe he dipped into Chelan a little bit. And I'm sure that I was a little off put by it, but I don't remember it. And then I remember seeing him at a couple parties, or maybe just one party, and because this all happened so quick. So you can let yourself off the hook with us, but yeah, I mean, with Lita, that must have been like, how did you recover from that?
I mean, it's something that's still like there's some kernel of that, that is. We've talked through it, and
because you were wrong, like 100%.
I was really wrong. Yeah,
she was right,
and she was right.
Yeah,
yeah.
And you spent 3 days resenting her and trying to convince her.
Yeah,
maybe saying that she's heartless or something.
Yeah,
you know him. Trust me. I know him. Yeah. You don't know him. Just trust. That
stuff sticks with you.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, he's a professional-ish con artist. You're not a professional con artist detector. No one is. That's the destructive power. Like my distant relative who is being catfished. It's too much to expect any average person to know what to do. Plus, like, you were doing the right thing. You're a good person. You were doing the good thing. And that's how con artists, that's how psychopaths work their way through people, is to manipulate that, to capitalize on that.
Yeah. And like, as we talk through this, how deep is the downside of what, you learn to not trust people because of this one thing that happened.
Yeah.
That'll last a lifetime.
Yeah. But you've probably never run into another person like him.
Not that I'm aware of.
Or at least not close enough to have been targeted by. So then you start rifling through his stuff because you have boxes of correspondence and stuff. And then what do you find?
So in the boxes of stuff, there was letters between him and his girlfriend. And pictures. We saw pictures of him and her together. I don't think we'd ever seen pictures, and that was kind of cool. But there was some letters, like not just a couple of, but maybe 30 different letters that were handwritten from her to him, right? And some of them were like, "I miss you. I haven't seen you in a long time."
So this is another Asian girl?
Another Asian girl. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And most of the letters were like really positive and like, I love you and we have so much fun together and whatever. And I can't tell what their situation is. Are they together, or like is she abroad? I don't really know. But as we went through some of these letters, they started getting dark. Like, I haven't seen you for a while. Like, where have you been? And also, where another one of the letters said, where, I miss you, but I'm starting to wonder what's going on. Where is the money that I loaned you? Am I ever going to get that back? Where's the money that my grandmother loaned you? Are we ever going to see that? I'm beginning to wonder if we're getting scammed. And there's another one, a letter.
Did it say how much money it was?
I wish it did.
Yeah,
I wish it did.
It probably was a lot, because
who knows?
When it comes to
this might have
fiancés,
been just keys. Yeah, it could have been a lot more, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And there's the words in one of the letters I remember was, "I'm beginning to think you are a con artist." So,
were the letters from Cambodia?
Don't know. I don't remember.
Doesn't seem likely, right?
No,
because it's possible,
Yeah, I don't
But the
remember
way you
them
describe
being,
it,
I don't remember. I remember them being like, she's probably a local Tacoma girl or
right,
something like that.
just another Asian girl in the
Yeah,
area,
lived close. Where I think that's where he was generally from. That
right.
area.
So when he was referring to his girlfriend in Cambodia, he could have been in his mind just making up somebody. He wasn't referring to that particular person. That must have been an eerie experience. Yeah, because I remember back then when you were revealing this to me, that's when I thought, and this again, before I knew what psychopaths were, before I was training to be a therapist, and I remember hearing that and thinking, oh my God, he's doing this. God knows how many times he's done this. Because you see the pattern of just the first sign of, oh shit, they might be onto me, boom. He just drops everything and maybe takes a bus to another, or he drives his other Honda, right, to a church just down the street. I mean, that's the thing. Like, he's scamming people in the same area, right? So he probably just went up to Linwood or something and went to a church and just slowly weaseled his way into someone else's life.
Yeah.
Stays on their couch. A couple months later, asks for money. It almost makes you wonder if, because the way you lay out the story with you and him and our other friend and Lita, is that it almost seems like he might have a pattern of being a leech, and then when he thinks the gig might be up, is it the gig or the jig might be up?
Oh, it's the jig.
I don't know.
I'm thinking of that Styx song, The Renegade. The jig is up, the move is out.
Okay,
well,
well,
like that, yeah.
right. So as soon as maybe his MO is be a leech and have a place to stay. The parasitic lifestyle is what they call it with psychopaths.
Oh, okay.
And when it seems like maybe the jig is almost up, then I ask for money, I get money, and then when the jig is really up, then I blow out of town and I scammed money and I can go on to the next person to target. Because he didn't ask for money right away.
No. Yeah.
He was seemingly just wanting friends, just wanting to hang out, wanting to have things to do, and a roof over his head. And he didn't want to have a job. He didn't want to have to pay the bills himself. That's the classic psychopathic hunters. They loathe going to a 9-to-5. They just cannot do that. It's like fingernails on chalkboard to them. They are like so lazy. They'll do anything so that someone will just pay the bills. And a really effective way is to catfish or to find someone who's older, an older woman who thinks of you as like a catch, and feels young again with you, and then you can just live on their couch.
So it's classic to classic psychopath to like sleep on someone's couch or to live off of other people.
Yeah.
Is it also classic to meet those people through church?
No, but it might be. I haven't heard that, but I suspect that that's often a thing. I mean, in today's world, it's like dating apps and Facebook and Instagram, DMs, that kind of stuff. That's how they'll find other targets.
Is it also, would it be classic for the psychopath to have a skill? Like that lure, like maybe to know fishing holes or to be a good cook,
right?
Like some hook. Yeah,
the cooking thing is more likely. I mean, it's hard to believe that knowing of a fishing hole would be an effective skill as a con artist. You know what I mean?
It's way out there. I know.
Yeah, but cooking, which sounds like that is something that he leaned into. And, it could just be that he's a good cook and he just likes that. Sometimes the way we talk about psychopaths is they're like aliens from outer space. They're not. They're regular human beings who like regular things. He might have just liked to cook. But it sounds like he leaned into it, and it could have been completely manufactured. Like, he might not have had any personal motivation to learn how to cook, but he knew this is how you can be a parasite, because you don't have to pay for anything.
Oh, yeah.
You just have to do a little bit of magic in the kitchen. It's not that hard. And
that'll get you a lot of invites just about anywhere.
Right. And it will get people to really open up to you, you know, like the way it did with us and you.
Yeah.
Right. That's interesting. So you're going through these letters, and there's a correspondence with. I never knew that you actually had a picture of her. So you had a name and a picture, and it was an Asian American girl. It sounds like, and because in my head I'd always pictured a blonde white girl for some reason. I'm not sure why, but.
Well, I'm assuming that the picture that we saw matched up with the letter, and that I can't confirm.
Oh, okay.
I'm just assuming that.
So we don't know.
We don't know.
You're right. Because there's a pretty good chance that he had been scamming several people. Because you have John, and you have you, and our other friend, and you
we
also
already
have,
know about 3.
and this other woman.
Yeah, 3 groups.
Right. And the span of time,
That span of time, I think we had dates. So the span of time there would have been less than 2 years.
Right. So, and often...
And those are just the ones we're aware of in that 2-year period.
Exactly.
Right.
And so, but I wouldn't be surprised if during the time he was with you, he was alternating between you and John. Why he would do that, I don't know. Maybe he felt like he would overstay his welcome if he stayed too long in one place or something. He was getting that sense of like, well, Lita doesn't want me around all the time, So maybe he felt like it was easier to scam 2 households.
Maybe he was feeling her like tightening the noose.
Yeah.
Kind of behind my back, not even being aware of that.
Or he just knew from past experience that eventually the jig is up, right?
Yeah.
But what another sign, and it's impossible to know, but the way it looks is that given that he has an MO, the title and the loaning and the couch surfing and the cooking and that kind of thing, it seems like a refined pattern that had developed years prior.
This brings up actually a really an interesting point, that how would you guess that developed in his life? Like, at what point did the first jig happen accidentally?
Yeah.
And work out, or
Yeah.
or out of what necessity did it develop?
Yeah, that's another consideration. These individuals don't usually come from wonderful households. Often they have a psychopathic parent themselves. They might have seen it firsthand. It's who knows, but the common story is that they blow out of the house at some point, and they just figure out a way. Because again, they're not thinking about the future, and they're not smart about things, so they just kind of randomly fall into things and learn as they go. So the fact that he, by the time he got to you, seemed to have a fairly slick, but not so. Like the next time he scammed someone, and the next time he had a car to sign over the title, he might not have signed over the title, or he might have forged a title of some sort, to account for the fact that he lost that car. Or he didn't learn from that experience, and he added, I used to have this Corvette, and I just got scammed by a con artist, and he took my car away from me, and his name is Chris Hubert. Like, who knows what he said? Right. I mean, honestly, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm sure that story's out there in the wild for real, multiple places too.
Yeah. And it's possible that he learned the cancer thing with you because he didn't say the cancer thing to John. He didn't need to.
Yeah.
And he intuited or saw something, or it just randomly came out of his mouth that one night with our other friend. And yeah, it's just interesting to wonder about the development. And again, you have those 3 data points: the loans, that's part of his MO, the couch surfing, he was probably a really good cook and charmed her family, with
and we were in our mid-20s
at
this point, right? So would this have started in his teens?
Well, we also don't know how old he was.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he could have been 35. We wouldn't know, right?
We wouldn't know.
Did you ever see his ID? I mean,
not that I remember.
Not that you remember, and it wouldn't be hard for him to shield that. So it's unknown. Now, but even if he was our age, it doesn't take long to. And plus, his MO isn't very airtight. It's pretty bad. He lost.
Yeah.
You profited off of, or at least made your money back, So,
but he did live for free for, better part of a few months.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like maybe also, I mean, if it's a numbers game, maybe it's like going to a casino. You win some, you lose some.
Yep.
But in the end, the house has the edge.
Well, in
The
the
person
end,
running the scheme has the edge in a numbers game.
when they have goal-directed behavior and they think of the future and they are not impulsive, because it wouldn't surprise me if he ended up in prison. That's almost always the case. Is they will do something. So, was he ever aggressive or hostile? Or
No.
Yeah.
Never.
So maybe he just didn't have that in him.
He was he was just more like your neighborhood kind, nicely scammer,
Right.
not the hardcore mean scammer.
When
Violent.
you were when Lita, or towards the end, did he ever give off any kind of like aggressive, hostile vibe, like a scary kind of look in his eye or anything like that?
That's an interesting point. There was a weird vibe around him his last couple of visits, and I chalked it up to his illness and him not. It's like he was distracted, which of course.
But you weren't afraid. You didn't feel like this edge of
No.
danger.
No.
Okay. So, maybe he just didn't need to resort to that.
But I could see it have going in that direction had we had some of these, like if we had some of these suspicions, and then he came back for another day or two,
Right.
then there would be some fear.
Right. Because you wouldn't know what he's capable of.
Right.
And maybe he would resort to physical intimidation. But it's possible it just, there are some psychopaths who...
Lita had those suspicions already.
Right.
It was
Just as a function of, we just don't really know. We don't know who this guy is.
Yeah.
Not that he's given me a vibe of danger or violence or
Right.
or
It was, yeah.
physical harm or something. Yeah. So that's notable. But yeah. So yeah. The other thing is, like, if we work ourselves back to after the Chelan trip, if he had just told the truth and never scammed, he could have made out much better in all the ways. He had you and our other friend wrapped around his finger, and maybe not for horrible reasons. Like he never lies about having cancer. He just says, I've been through some bad times, and he never lies about having a girl in Cambodia. Mm-hmm. He just says, my life hasn't gone so well, and I haven't made the best choices, and I need some extra help to get back on my feet. You and our other friend probably would have helped in some way.
Still would have done.
And then he could have said, also, can you help me find a job? Do you know anyone? We probably
Absolutely
would have been able to get him, at least some sort of job. He starts working. He pays a little bit of rent at our other friend's house to stave off any kind of problems with the other roommates, for a time. He's more consistent. He doesn't wander away. Maybe he, gives the title of the car over to everyone in the house or something. Fast forward a couple years, he could have been working for your software company and had stock in the business and would have been well off and had friends and was doing well. You know what I mean? So it didn't require the what he did. That's the thing of the psychopath,
right?
Is they shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, he definitely shot himself in the foot. Yeah.
And they don't think like normal people. Normal people would think along the lines of, or at least part of their thinking would be along the lines of what I laid out. He thinks of, how can I be a parasite? How can I work other people?
Do you think that maybe the thought also, I wonder if it feels like, on one hand, I'm going to get as much as I can from this person while I can, and within reason, and then without putting everything on the line, and then slowly move out and into this next group or person,
right?
Or is it more like, like he's thinking, I don't know any other way to survive. And I'm just doing the best I can.
It's kind of like a third option of constantly just following their nose, because it kind of looks that way, right? He randomly met you guys at a campsite. Mm-hmm. What's the next thing? Well, hanging out with these guys. They have things and I don't have any money, and I'll just sort of make my needs known. I don't have money, I can't contribute, and I'll just be a really nice guy. I'll get to stay somewhere tonight. And then, just following their nose. Because again, if he had any semblance of future thinking, he would have predicted things. Or when you called him at John's, he would have said, okay, if I do this or that. Instead, it's just impulsive, follow his nose. Right now, it's uncomfortable for me that he called me at John's place. So I'm outie. Even though it's bad for me. He doesn't even think, well, maybe I could get the title of the car back, or even just get possession of the car. Like I'll just go to Huber's and I'll tell him, no, you don't understand, like da-da-da-da, and I count to John. And then in the middle of the night, take the car out and get out of town, and at least you own the car or something, or you have possession of the car.
It occurred to me that at some point he might have stalked the condo to wait for our cars to leave and then gone in to try to get the car back.
With the key.
Because then he would have come out way ahead.
Yeah.
Right.
So what did you do?
Well, I mean, we don't know that he didn't try to do that because...
how long did it take to change the locks?
Less than 24 hours.
Okay, yeah.
Easy thing for.
Well, I suspect that he didn't because of how poor of a planner and decision maker he is.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, the easiest path would have been
had like
when you called him at John's, he would just say, "Yeah, what's up?" I mean, because at that point, nothing is strange. He's at the guy's house that he said he sometimes hangs out with. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's nothing weird here. He doesn't know that.
Like he kind of gave himself up by doing the whole coughing bit.
That's the thing. That's the thing about these psychopaths. It's not like Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
He was really they're not very good liars, but people are generally trusting people.
Right.
Especially when people are lying about like those kinds of things. You're just like, why would someone lie about that? That's like bizarre. It's like, wait, lying about like, I don't know, how much money you have in the bank, like maybe you double it or something, or lying about cheating or something to a partner. Okay. But you have terminal cancer? No one would lie about that. That's way too far. Yeah. No one's going to lie about having a girlfriend in Cambodia. Yeah. Like no one's going to lie that far. That's even if it's a little lying, it's got to be 80% true, You don't think people would just completely make shit up. Like I wouldn't be surprised if you were to interact with him that he would easily have been dismantled in terms of his stories because he probably wasn't even keeping anything straight.
Right.
You know? Yeah. And the fact that he even gave you guys John's actual phone number is kind of weird. Like, think ahead. Just change one of the digits.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, do you want them to be calling John? Probably not. Obviously not. This is this story. So once I learned about psychopathy, and this is further on in my career, I always thought about Scammy and just, and I'm often railing on this podcast on the YouTube channel about how psychopaths are not geniuses.
Okay.
They shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
They are not thinking ahead. They are fairly easily detected once you see the signs, because all the signs were there. No friends. We've already been no friends, no family, parasitic lifestyle, no job, no real effort to get a job, no provable effort to get a job. Kind of fantastical, a number of fantastical claims. But again, with the fishing hole thing, it, set you up for that believing scheme. But even without that,
I think he just got lucky on that one.
Yeah. Right. That's what I'm saying. Charming, but it's interesting. This is educational even for me, I mean, that sounds funny, brag. It's a new profile that I haven't considered before because the classic charmer is someone like a Ted Bundy who's just, obviously superficially charming, of just like, hey, how's it going? And, they remember your name and lots of eye contact, like a salesperson, and, or a politician or whatever. And not that politicians are psychopaths, but that kind of constant rizzing people up all the time. Whereas his version of it was stealth, was not to be super outgoing and complimentary and that sort of thing, but he just came across like a hurt puppy dog who was a good person, someone who was respectable, someone who gave to others. He's has this girlfriend and he cooks for you and he doesn't ask for anything, that kind of charming. That's an interesting presentation, because I'm guessing, because if he actually, as he's making food, so this is important to drill down on, when he was making fish for you and us, we assume he's on the same planet that we're on, in which he is doing this out of the kindness of his own heart.
Yeah, right.
In his heart, he wants to give. Maybe he's trying to impress these other guys he doesn't know, but to you, when he's making you fish, or he's showing you the fishing hole, he is wanting you to have a good experience. And if he can give that, great. But he just wants you to have a good experience. This is the normal planet.
Assume that.
Right. When we're giving to other people, that's the empathy that we're talking about. Of, I want other people to have good things, and if I can give that, then great. But really, I just want the other person to feel good. So however we can get there, then that's great. For him, he obviously didn't have that, because why would he scam you out of money and lie to your face so often? He could not have ever cared about you at all, because he doesn't have the capacity to care about anybody. So as he's making fish, and as he's being nice, and as he's thanking you for taking him to Vegas, he doesn't have empathy for you. He doesn't care about you. He's not saying, thank you, Chris, for doing this. He is saying something to you because he knows that's what he should be saying. It doesn't. So that's why after he got the money from you and he seemed a little bit distant, another way of looking at that is he relaxed to his more baseline state, which is he is a distant person because he just doesn't care. And everything up until that loan was completely made up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And that's unnerving, right?
That's really unnerving.
Because it didn't feel fake
at all. You didn't. Yeah, at no point did it feel like that.
And to be victimized for that many months by someone who did not care. Now, he might not have wanted you harm. That's another thing.
Yeah, I want to talk about that part because, like, you were mentioning what are typical profiles and what they look like. In this case, there was no violent part in the ending, but as we how like this happened 30 years ago, so we're like kind of going back, and I remember I had this flash in my head of sizing him up for the first time ever when he was staying with us in the condo, and like, oh, if he wanted to like so he was shorter and he was kind of husky and stocky and kind of ripped.
Yeah, I remember he was a bigger guy. I don't remember him being short.
Like, like shoulders and like chest and like biceps and like, I mean, he was like kind of like a little wrecking ball.
Yeah.
And I remember like looking at him a couple of times, like, gosh, if he was really angry, that would be scary. And I had that thought that I didn't realize until we just started talking about it.
Huh.
So did that mean something? Like, did that come out of nowhere, or was there something brewing in him?
Well, is that something you normally think?
No.
Yeah. So it could have just been a product of a question mark regarding, I don't really know this guy.
Might be a strange man living in my tight space with my girlfriend and I, or my fiance and I.
Yeah. But it wouldn't be strange if your heart and your empathetic sense was sensing that there was something a little different about his vibe, about his care, about his empathy.
Yeah, I think that might have been, that it's possible that could have been creeping in a little bit, because I mean, I don't have no intuition. I've got a little bit. I mean, not like Lita's, but like, I mean, I'm not.
Well, I don't know. Lita's
front.
very nice too. You know, if Lita were there, you know, Lita likes her slots. So imagine if someone had cozied up next to her and said, "I know a good slot machine."
Oh yeah, it would be the same thing.
Right. You know, Lita, the reason why she detected it was because she had not been seduced. She had no indoctrination into the cult of Sammy.
Yeah.
That you had. Because you're not a, if anything, you're wary, or you ask questions, you know, you're going to think about things. So you're not like you haven't done this with other people in your life. Mm-hmm. You're not prone to bringing in puppy dogs straight. You're not prone to bringing in strays. This is the only time it's ever happened.
Since then, it's kind of been like frowned upon.
But even before then, you know what I mean? Like that's not
true.
You were victimized by by a very strange, psychopathic, horrible person who, just imagine the amount of lies that he had perpetrated by the time you moved, by the time you let him move into your place. We're talking on the order of thousands of lies,
right?
Even especially when you think about all the lies by omission, but even just active lies, things that he said, indicated to you. It's hard for normal people to lie once to someone's face. He did it over and over and over, and he knew he was lying straight to your face, and he didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
He didn't give a shit about you. He didn't give a shit about how you would feel if you found out. He didn't, I'm
just some stranger to him.
When he asked, well, yeah, everyone's a stranger to him.
Yeah.
Well, worse than a stranger, because you wouldn't do this to a stranger, you and I. You're worse than a stranger. You're like you're a computer NPC. You're nothing. You're not even human, right? So there's two other versions when we think about violence or harm. So there's psychopathic violence. So it's often instrumental violence, in that, like, if you had the title to his car and he was inside your condo and he was about to leave with the title and you stood in his way in the door, he would not have a problem with being violent with you in that moment, because you're getting in his way. And he might be extremely violent. And again, this is how a lot of them end up in prison, because they can't stop themselves. They often will drink a lot.
They can't apply just the right amount of violence.
Or they just can't think into the future. And they also, you know, one of the reasons why a lot of us will stop short of committing crimes like that is because we have empathy. So there'll be a part of us that will want to punch the guy in the face, you know, like a cashier at McDonald's that's pissing us off or something. But because we have empathy, we will refrain from doing so, whereas psychopaths don't. And so they will punch the cashier at McDonald's and then they get in trouble, blah, blah. So that's one angle of the sort of violence. But the other angle is sadism, which is another personality disorder that is associated with psychopathy, in which the person wakes up in the morning and wants to harm others. And that can be through violence, but it's often through other means, like emotional harm, even sexual harm, this kind of thing.
Like, they would wake up with the idea that they want to harm.
In the same way that you and I would wake up with, you know, maybe not the first thing we think of, but like, I woke up this morning knowing that we were going to podcast and I was going to hang out with my friend. So I wanted to be productive. I wanted to make a podcast. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to hang out with you. I wanted to be entertained by the story. I also had like a want of having my curiosity satisfied, because, you know, where this grew out of was I started to drill down on the story a while back, and I was like, oh, we should make a podcast. I should stop asking questions, and we should actually make an episode. So I had all those
How did this start for you? How did this kernel of doing this podcast
it was a couple months ago when you were over, and we were just shooting the shit and recalling various...
Was it the jazz night? or before that?
Yeah, I think it was the jazz night when we went and saw jazz in Seattle, and I was asking you questions, and I thought, oh, we should have you on the podcast. When are you going to be back in town?
That's right.
Yeah. So when I wake up in the morning, those are my motivations. With a sadistic person, when they wake up in the morning, a part of all the things they want is I want to harm other. I get pleasure hanging out with my friend Chris Huber. Sadists also have pleasure in just harming someone, and by the time they get good at harming, they have their routines. Like a lot of people now will use the internet to harm people. They will attack people in the comment sections or tweet something or whatever. So, or they might harm their kids or their animals or someone at work.
Which, by the way, it's always bizarre to me how many people get enjoyment out of attacking people on threads.
Yeah.
On like Facebook or Reddit or whatever.
Yeah. Well,
like, it's just
so research shows that
I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, a portion of that is because these people have a disorder. They're either psychopaths or they're sadistic psychopaths, and research shows that they're
so these aren't just
represent
normal people that got mad about that one thread.
I mean, some of them are, but
not usually.
But most of the time, the odd, hostile, weirdly hostile comment is probably not from a psychopath. But, the sadistic psychopaths, people suffering from these two personality disorders, we're talking on the order of like 1, 2, 3% of the population.
That's high. That's higher than I realized.
Oh, well, yeah. Wow. It depends on how you look at it, but let's say 1 or 2%. But if you look at all the comments on the internet, like 10% of the comments are from these people because they can get away with it. Anonymous accounts.
Sure,
and there's so many opportunities to get under people's skin, and you can do it so easily. And so you're much more likely to come across them online. But anyway, so it doesn't seem like Scammy was pushed to have that instrumental violence I was talking about earlier, which we don't know if he's capable of, but they usually are. But it doesn't seem like he was a sadist. It doesn't seem like he had sadistic personality, in that there's nothing in your story that's indicative of anything on that spectrum of just like, I'm going to prey on someone because I want other people to suffer. I like seeing people suffer. Mm-hmm. There's nothing like that.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's important because people will think that psychopaths automatically are sadists, but they're not necessarily. Psychopaths are just extremely selfish, and they just don't give a shit about other people at all. So if they can get what they want by lying, then that's what they'll do. Yeah. And they have a hard time figuring out how other people tick because they don't have empathy and they can't really relate. So as you are being nice to them, he might not even really understand why you're doing it. He's just like, well, you're stupid for being nice to a stranger. You know what I mean? Like he might have a hard time even internalizing that you're being nice because you care about him. You know what I mean? He might kind of think everyone is scamming everyone because he can't comprehend that people would do something nice because they care, because he doesn't care and he doesn't understand how people could care, Yeah. It depends. But so at the end here, how does it feel to comb through all of this?
Well, it's actually it's connecting some dots for me that I've never thought through at this level of granularity. There's a little bit of healing that comes from realizing that, there's a lot of people in my circle that were affected by this experience, and it was real, and everyone knows this story. Everyone in our circle knows this story and carries it deep, even if it didn't hurt them, per se or whatever. And I think we all did relatively well considering in this example. This is probably one of the best outcomes of almost any story. If you can think about all of the people that come across psychopaths and deal with their shenanigans, this is about as good of an outcome as you hope for.
Yeah.
And
yeah, like you imagine just
worse.
The girlfriend having fallen in love. And because wasn't she expecting to get married to him?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's deep. Yeah. Imagine how fucked up you'd be after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's really important at the end that you thank Lita for being right.
You know how hard that is for me.
And any shout out to your kids that are listening right now? Maybe like a special dad message.
Hey, guys, I just want, Cammy and Lincoln, I just want you guys to know I love you. You're awesome. And you're especially awesome for listening to the Psychology in Seattle podcast.
And everyone out there, please take care of yourself, because why should people take care of themselves?
Because we love you.